My name is Adenike Adeyemi. I'm the Executive Director for Faith Foundation, and over the next couple of minutes I'll be running you through on how to develop a business model canvas for your business. First of all, what's a business model? A business model really is how are you going to make money for your business. So how do you create a product or a service? How do you deliver it to your customers? And then how do you capture revenue from the delivery of that product to your customers to make some profit? That's really your business model. One of the things that I have gone through every time I interact with entrepreneurs and you ask them what's your business model, they really have a difficult time in really understanding what it is. And I think that that's one of the fantastic things that the tool like the business model canvas helps them properly articulate. The business model canvas was a tool created by a gentleman called Alexander Osterwalder, and what it does really on one page is that he helps entrepreneurs, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you have an existing business, it really helps you to capture your business model in one page, literally in one page. It looks at all the critical elements around your customers, around the activities for your delivery of your product and services, and then also around the cost elements, and helps you articulate all of that in one page. A lot of times when we work with entrepreneurs to develop business plans, they always have difficulty in articulating the business plan, which usually is a couple of pages. And I think that one of the first steps in developing a business plan is really using the business model canvas. And that's why even in our classes and in our programs that we do at Faith Foundation, one of the things that we've started teaching is really how to use a business model canvas on your path to your business plan for your product or your service. To develop a business model canvas, there are 9 different components that you have to look at, and I would run through each of these 9 components. The first one, which for me is even the most important one, is the customer segment. So you have this product, you have the service that you have for your business. Who are the customers that you're targeting? What is the unique peculiarity about them? Why is your product or your service specifically suited to that customer? What customer needs is that customer segment, or what customer need does that customer segment have that your product or your service is going to meet? And this is the first step. This is the most important step. You really need to detail out your customer segment. It's not just about saying, oh, I'm targeting young people, or I'm targeting young professionals in Lagos, or I'm looking at upwardly mobile females in a certain part of the country. You need to detail it down to much more specific segments, in terms of even looking at specific locations of where they live, their earning power, their earning potential, what are their peculiarities, what are some of their tastes, their unique tastes and attributes. And the further you can drill that, the further it will help you expand on how you develop your product and service. And even much later on in the business planning process, the further it will help you even in looking at your marketing strategy that you're detailing out and tailoring for that specific customer segment. After you have defined your customer segment, the second important part is your value proposition. What are you offering them? What are you offering your target customers? Why should they care? What is it about your product or your service that you're proposing that meets the needs of your customer segment? In fact, if you look at our picture of the business model canvas, you see that it's in the picture of a gift. Why should they care? What's special? What's unique about your product or service that it relates directly to your customer segment? A lot of us in our everyday course of life, we have people trying to market specific things to us, and one of the things that they ask is that what is in it for them, and really why should they care about putting money to pay for this good or service that you're trying to tell them. And the more you can detail out, or the more specific you can detail out your value proposition, the better and the clearer your business model is going to be, because your value proposition is now going to dovetail into other things around your operating model that would really be important in helping you get the customer to really appreciate and eventually pay for this good or service service that you're trying to approach them with. And then one other thing that is important not to forget in articulating your value proposition is your minimum viable product. To get your product or service to the market, what is the minimum standard or quality standard or components that it has to have before you actually deliver it? And why that is important is you're saying that for your customer segment to accept this product or service, what are the basic characteristics and quality and components that this your product or this your service has to have for them to be able to pay money for this. The third part in the business model canvas is channels. One of the very important challenges or very critical challenges that a lot of entrepreneurs face, particularly in Nigeria, is access to market. So you have this fantastic good, you have this fantastic product, and you have a customer segment somewhere, but just getting the two of them together seems to be a problem. And that's why really thinking about channels is very, very important. So where are your customer segments? How do they want to be reached? What are the interaction points? What points do they feel best or most comfortable with interacting your product or service? One of the best ways to go in about this is even looking at where your competing products or services are similar to yours. What are the current channels that their companies are using to reach out to the customer segments that you're targeting, and how can you look at more efficient channels for reaching them? To simplify this a bit further, one of the things I think really helps is social media. So before, a couple of years ago, it would have been very hard for so many people to get their products or services to customers in locations that are out from the geographical locations that they're in. And one of the things that social media does is that it helps you bring it face to face with them. But even with social media, not for instance, there's specific types of customer segments on Instagram. And as Instagram and Facebook are quite similar, so are they different. You have to look at the different platforms and the different channels where your customer segments are, whether geographically, whether virtually, and even geographically, what kind of spaces, what kind of locations, what are the spaces and what are the channels in which they can and will be able to interact or get to know about your product or service, get to experience it, and then even make that decision to pay for it in the long run. And that's why it's very critical to think about the channels point. And as you can see from this graphic, you need to be able to get this fantastic group product or service you have to your customer. The fourth part is customer relationships, and that's where it matters. So how are you going to keep and grow your customer segment base? And for me, this is really very critical in even eventually articulating your marketing strategy, your sales strategy. So once you've defined your customer segments, once you've found out how you're going to reach them, the other important thing is that how do you retain them to you? How do you keep them? And how do you use them to grow your business overall? Because making them sold on your product or service also means that not only do you have repeat customers, but you have customers who will refer you to other people within their own customer segments who can also, or who will be interested in buying your product and service. And I think that that's why this customer relationships part is very, very important. And it's something that you have to critically look at. A lot of times when you meet new entrepreneurs, you know, they're very excited about their product or service, and they're always very quick to tell you about how their product or service is better in the market, is better than anything existing in the market. And one of the things they say is that, oh, with fantastic customer service, you know, but all this fantastic customer service have very important cost elements to them. So for you to be able to keep your customer relationships, or for you to be able to develop relationships that will keep your customers, what are the things that you need to do? What are the things that you need to have in place in those channels that you've created to reach your customers that would retain them, that will get information about their likes, that will get information about their dislikes? What are those things that you're building in your customer relationships that will not also just get that information about their likes and dislikes, but would apply that in your development and your delivery of your product and service, so that it will appear to the customer that you're always keeping them at the forefront of their mind. You have them at the back of your mind in developing their product and service.